Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I am your fleet admiral, but will take the field demotion to captain for tonight. Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew. This side of a Klingon threesome, we have Vice Admiral Eric, who I'm going to put on the spot. You said you had something in your printer for today.
The nacelles broke.
God damn, you broke your little ships.
Oh, that's so sad. It's so big too. It's
little
like
ships.
the saucer is this big, and the nacelles just fell apart as they were printing. I was like, mother.
Oh no! Oh no! That stinks. Mm-hmm. Well, no putting you on the spot then. So sorry.
It was a new. It was a nice new golden ship.
Oh no!
With the new letter.
Here's another example. This is fine work. He does great work, people.
Oh, we have a first-time watcher. Hello, hello, Holly Horn. Welcome. Commander Hawk, you're here, and for the first time in 2 seasons of Picard, I don't think that we're gonna get the what the fuck.
There will be no diatribes, no anger, and no threatening of any sort of staff related to the show this time. Yeah, at least not in a negative way. And finally, Lieutenant Commander MC is here and almost got fired from the pod. Yeah, that's right. After pointing out to me that the Titan being rechristened the Enterprise means that Riker missed being captain by this much.
Me being fired. It's a day that ends in Y.
Truth.
Also, thank you, Tara. I quite like this hair.
Yeah, it is. It is looking good, MC. Rocking it as always. Welcome back, guys. How we doing?
We're doing good now. We're ready to talk about this amazing episode.
Doing good. Eric's like, it's a mix, but we had fun earlier.
It was good today. Boy, this afternoon. Today. Oh,
it was good today.
You guys are in it for a treat next week.
You are. We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. Captain Giraffe is in the med bay being treated by Dr. Oak tonight. We'll see her in a couple of weeks. Sending good vibes her way this week. And we said it last week and we'll say it this week. If you're new and you're here, like Holly, first-time watcher, first-time listener, this is a spoiler review podcast. Full spoilers are ahead. So if you haven't seen the episode, kindly fuck on off. You're doing yourself a favor. We say that in the nicest way possible. And go watch the episode. The live stream will be in YouTube, like video form after we're done. It'll be in podcast form tomorrow. So just go away and come back. We will miss you, but it's for the best.
To quote a great line from tonight, if you don't want the wolves to come in, you don't leave the door open.
That's right. That's right. So with that being said, spoilers will start in 3, in 2, and 1. This week, it is the Picard series finale. What happens when Captain Picard and the Enterprise crew make their last stand against the Borg Queen? How does Jean-Luc get through to Jack? How does Seven take on the entire assimilated fleet and survive with the Titan and a skeleton crew? What are the ramifications of the events of the series finale of Star Trek Picard? Does everyone make it out alive? And what about that mid-credits scene? That one. So many questions. We're going to break it all down. Eric, I don't know if you've read the outline in time. Do we have the ticker ticking by chance?
Nope, I didn't know I needed it.
Nope, I know.
Oh, wait, I do have it. I didn't even know I put it on.
See, that's awesome. The ticker is ticking, patrons. We hope you understand. We're going to do the ticker again one more week because we have so much to talk about. The outline, this thing that people don't read, is 7 pages long tonight. Yeah. So we love you. We appreciate you. Read the ticker for your name. Thank you to our amazing executive producers, Simon Steger and Chris Todd. You guys freaking rock. Quick news, very, very briefly. We went live last night. Didn't know what was happening, but we did, and broke down the Strange New World Season 2 teaser. That is available right now on YouTube as well as in podcast form, wherever you find your podcasts. Trek Long Island in 1 month. Get your tickets. Get your hotel if you can. It's the main hotel sold out, but 1 month. And then no Stranger Loop tonight. Too much to talk about, but it will hit TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Insta beginning of the week. I do have a fun one planned for everybody, so look out for that. Eric, what did we do this afternoon?
We just chatted on Zoom for a bit. That's all. It was nothing. We talked to the composers of Picard season 3, Stephen Barton and Frederic Weidman. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It was awesome.
That's going to be our main episode for next week. I'll say this again at the end of the pod just to remind everybody, but we are taking a well-deserved week off of live next week, and we'll be back the following week live. So, yes, that's going to happen.
The soundtrack is out today, so if you haven't picked
go
it
buy
up,
it.
go get it. Unless you're getting it on vinyl, then in 2 weeks, I think.
I'm buying both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's number 1 in TV and film on charts right now, and it's number 3 in everything charts. So get it all the way to number 1 on the top charts. Awesome. That's it. It's time to go. It's time to go, folks. It is our review of the series finale of Star Trek Picard, episode 310, The Last Generation. YouTube Collective, let's get ready for this one. Want your news, your opinions. I don't know why I said news, but I want your opinions. I want your thoughts. I want your deep dives. I want your hot takes. Our roundtable order tonight. I do. Your soul is mine. Not something the Borg Queen would say. Our roundtable order tonight is Hawk, MC, Eric, followed by myself. To start this off with a bad movie title. That is a beautiful movie, beautiful looking, but a bad movie. Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Ascending.
Brilliant movie.
Sorry?
It's a brilliant movie.
Is that the B movie?
It's
Wachowskis with Channing Tatum and
The B one.
No,
Or the Mila Kunis.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
not the base.
Now I'm just imagining that movie in my head. The episode begins with the Enterprise traveling at warp, listening to the evacuation call from Anton Chekhov. My heart. The president of the Federation. Picard asks Data to scan for Borg vessels, and it turns out that the Borg cube hit a transwarp conduit in the gases of Jupiter. Who would have known? Who would have known? Jack is on that cube, transmitting from there. Just a lot to take in right during this cold open. Thoughts on not only the tribute to Anton Yelchin and Chekhov, but Jupiter and Borg cubes and everything. Hawk.
All right. So first up with the cold open, and the first thing I noticed right off the back is the visual homages to TNG and the intro and that, where it kind of zooms in on the star, and then the shots of the Enterprise and that again, which were mimicking a lot of the camera angles they use with TNG and that. Even when they're facing the planet, it just kind of brought me right back there to like the old episodes. The tribute to Anton Yelchin, great. I'm pretty sure Patrick Stewart might have had a little hand in that too, and that he knew Anton, and that they worked together on what would be Anton's last project, Green Room, and that. So I imagine they must have had some conversations, right? Being part of Star
absolutely.
Trek.
Yeah.
But as far as the cold open, it was great. It just kind of set the stage, right? Which is what a cold open in this kind of context for a finale, it was perfectly done. I was a kid again watching it.
MC.
Okay, so the first thing I have to talk about is the absolute beginning when they do the opening Star Trek thing.
Yes.
Because they've changed it for every series, but just doing like the special one for this episode with the D in it and the Borg cube. I messaged Julian as I'm watching it. I was like, I've got chills. Like, I just can't deal with this. And I was actually so distracted by that the whole thing with Chekhov, it's like at first I thought it was like Pavel Chekhov, because of course, we do have Walter Koenig doing voice, so it kind of like passed over me. And it was actually only today that I realized that Chekhov's first name was Anton. And when I say it's like it's only today, like I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but I mean we watched the episode on Monday.
Yep.
So it's been marinating for a couple of days.
I know that's a weird thing. When I first watched it, I noticed it, and then I like everything that happened. I was just like thinking about that, and then Eric messaged me today, and he's like, "Did you see the little tribute in that today?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
I literally sent that message to Hawk 5 minutes before you sent it in our chat.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
and
brilliant.
I mean, like the name like just works really well. It doesn't seem out of place for what Chekhov would name his kid. And it's just such a beautiful, like, 'cause I mean, he was so good as Chekhov that it's nice to have, you know, to actually put him in as the president of Earth. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just so, and I mean, like, this is the second tribute we've had to him because they had the USS Yelchin, or I can't remember how it went in Discovery.
Yep.
But yeah, no, loved it. As for the Borg cube and the gases of Jupiter, I mean, like, they always like to hide things in the gases of Jupiter. So the Borg kind of catching on to that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Eric?
Yeah. That intro, the beginning one with the D and the cube hiding, and then just hints of the Borg theme, and then the Delta getting assimilated was so good. It was
Chef's kiss.
I lost my mind. And then we got to see an HD version of the opening of TNG, and it was beautiful. And then here we moved around on the screen.
We did. That was really weird.
That's because you raised
your hand.
Oh, son of a bitch. I forgot that was on. How do I turn that off?
You go down to the bottom to reactions, and
lower hand.
think
there it is.
Lower hand.
I forgot.
I've done some Zoom classes.
That's so funny. Yeah, so the HD version of the beginning was the perfect way to start this last chapter for the TNG cast. And it was beautiful. And then you get to hear Chekhov talking, and you find out it's like MC said, Anton Chekhov, and such a beautiful little tribute, and something that probably means the world to all of us, all of us Star Trek fans, right? You can say what you will about 2009 forward, the Star Trek movies. I know some people don't like it, but everyone loved that kid, right? They loved his portrayal.
Absolutely. Yep.
Which could have come off as just like a hammy, not in sync, or he was just trying to mimic Walter Koenig's performance in that. No, he kept the accent, but he still turned in this iconic performance and made the character his own.
Yeah,
He really did.
Agree.
I also just really like Chekhov getting his flowers because, I mean, this is a character who has not been well treated. Like, I mean, he got left out of the animated series.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice to have him or, a descendant still around.
Yeah.
And I think, like, with having George Takei appear last season on Lower Decks, they're really trying to honor the remaining members of the TOS cast who aren't assholes.
Yeah.
But they still just had Captain Kirk in a fridge on Daystrom.
We were actually talking about this today during our interview. Like, this season really was about honoring the past and then moving forward and building up the future. And
yeah,
like, it's such a beautiful way to move Star Trek forward. And having that legacy, the Chekhov legacy still there. I hope we get to see him in Star Trek Legacy.
That would be really cool. Yes. Like, he's played by Walter. That would
exactly
be dope.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Brent Spiner keeps on playing his own relatives. Like, why can't
he's got dirt.
Oh my God.
He does.
He does. He does.
As for the Borg cube, sorry, as I keep going.
No, go.
We talked about this afterwards today, me and Julian. It sort of makes sense that the Borg have something stationed in the solar system, just because they've tried to come to Earth so many times. And when Voyager just eradicated them at the end, I assume when they were trying to get away, they just left something so that they could make their way back if possible. Like, it's such a smart way to have the Borg in our system already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even though they're unable to do anything unless the Queen's like long game, ends up actually working. It's really it's neat. I sometimes I don't like repeating what you guys said, but I'm just going to. The whole opening with the D and them not doing the music for it either. The new like they do the MCU and the Star Wars theme on Disney Plus, but they didn't do the music they usually do with it. But when it did get assimilated, it did the dun, 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 dun. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm so like, this is just like the best way to open the episode.
And you saying that this is like the MCU, it's true. Like when they have those big pictures, they don't put the music on. They do like something
exactly
that'll get your attention.
Yep. Seeing the Enterprise
have a fully thought out, fully CG model that looks like an actual model is just everything. The other thing I want to talk about that we didn't talk about is Patrick Stewart in these few scenes on the bridge. Listen, it's no secret that the man is in his 80s, right? His voice is a lot more gravelly than it was. I don't have any complaints about that. That being said, he tried his damnedest in this episode to bring back that powerful Picard voice. The way that he says engage to Data to go to Jupiter, it's like it was Picard again. Most of his lines were him trying so hard to just bring that voice back for one more episode, and he did such a good job with it. Not to complain it.
What began 35 years
Yeah,
ago.
ends tonight. Yeah.
Oh,
So good. Anton, I had a tear in my eye. It's just beautiful. And hearing Walter's voice was on TNG, on Picard.
It's TNG.
On TNG.
TNG. This is TNG, dude.
was
Don't
just-
make any mistake about this.
No, it was so beautiful.
Also, like we didn't talk about this, but the shots of the bridge and the ship are right out of TNG. Like they mimicked the camera work, and it just the beginning of this, just to give you that feel that you're going into this final season 8 of TNG. Like it's brilliant.
And they used the old school warp effect, which I liked as well. This is actually really cool to point out because the Enterprise looks so fucking small compared to this cube. That Borg cube, according to Haven, is 5 times larger than a standard Borg cube, and those are already huge.
And
So it's Star Killer based to
It's
the
Star
Death
Killer.
Star.
Yeah, exactly. It's Star Killer. It's Titan from 12 Monkeys. It's all of these things.
Did we point out the obvious reference to 09 Star Trek when the
Oh yeah, we didn't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
why I was kind of alluding to it.
Yeah.
Because I talk about Kelvin a lot. So
Yeah, you do, but we like that. We like that. Night of the Living Borg. With this Borg cube inviting Picard and his team over, they realize their mission is to find this beacon that Jack or Vox is transmitting to at the heart and center of this cube and to destroy it. Jean-Luc, Will, Worf, they beam over, but not before saying it was an honor serving with you all. There were a few death fake outs in this episode, but at this point, were any of you expecting one of these characters to die, Hawk?
I was fully prepared for Jean-Luc to die again. But for real this time, not just fake out one we got in season 1. Yeah, season 1.
Don't do it.
I wouldn't have liked it, but I would have understood the decision in that, and particularly with the gravity of the title of this one, The Last Generation. Him like making way for the next one, and that through the ultimate sacrifice, and that. And if he had to sacrifice himself to save Jack, and that, I would have been happy to see him do that. We didn't get any deaths, but I was steeling myself for it.
Yeah. Eric.
MC's before me.
you skipped me.
Hey, Giraffe isn't here, so I need to skip someone. I forgot the order. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's been a long week. MC.
I did think that they were going to kill Jean-Luc. I messaged you and I was like, I think they're going to do it. And I was fully prepared for it. Like, in a way, it's like, I kind of would have been okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think if I want to bring this up now or later. I don't know if there's going to be anywhere later.
Well, bring it up now.
Okay, so I don't want to harsh anybody's squeeze because I know you boys loved this episode so much, but this is an episode, I actually have quite a few reservations about this episode. And one of the big things, which I think I mentioned last week, is the changelings, how we went so swiftly from the changelings to the Borg. And I actually thought of the poetic term Volta, which is great in poetry to have like this turn where suddenly the thought is different. Does not work so well for me in a television show because we had been building up this changeling threat over the season. And in this episode, in the last 2 episodes, it turns out no, they're just kind of mooks that aren't really affecting anything, except for like the one little like off the cuff thing at the very end during the whole Return of the King epilogue. So yeah, I just needed to get that off my chest right now.
No, you know what? I agree with you. Yeah. I think that Vadic dying and then that was kind of the end of the Changelings is a little bit of a missed opportunity. I think they could have found a way to somehow sneak them in even in that final battle above Space Dock, because the Changelings wanted Earth gone too. So no, I'm with you.
It kind of upset me that the Changelings were made into mooks, because they wouldn't do that. Like, I mean, I don't care if they're on a mission for revenge. Like we need to understand why they're working with the Borg, other than fuck the Federation.
They're not henchmen. They're supervillains.
Yeah, I mean, they almost destroyed the Federation. Like, yeah, I agree.
And considering like the Titan seemed to do a lot of like waiting around for like, let's see what like the D is gonna do. Like, they could have been dealing with that.
Yeah,
I fully expected it. I thought that the Changelings would have tried to take back the bridge. Like, it would make sense in my brain.
Yeah, and as for the Borg vessel inviting them in, it's such an arch move. Like, like why? Like, because I mean, like, this Borg vessel is, what did they say? Like 32%.
Yeah, it's
operational.
The Borg Queen can't move. They're like absolutely, like, the only thing they've got going for them is the signal that they're sending out. So you're gonna invite like these people onto the ship,
the people that have beaten you twice. Go.
Me and Hawk are both like, do your
things. Go. Counter.
Well, basically, it was an invitation to Jean-Luc and that, to come on in, because like, no matter what, with the Borg Queen and like, plots and, her coldness and decisiveness, there was a lot of personal history between her and Jean-Luc and that. And it was like, she was basically saying, come on in.
Yeah, but she had no interest in Jean-Luc. She just wanted to gloat at him. And I don't really like, it seems like just, and the thing is, she's not really in a position to gloat because she's all H.R. Geiger to the wall.
It felt very personal when she invited him on, though. So I understand, and I see H.R. Geiger. I like it. I always saw her as Palpatine in Episode 9.
I mean, like, you're not wrong.
No, she was a lot better than that. God damn it.
She was better. I'm just saying, it brought back bad memories.
Oh my God, that's a conversation for off mic. But some folks compared this to Rise of Skywalker, and I just I want their heads.
I will fight them up.
That is fighting words for Juliet.
I can see that they take influences from things like Rise of Skywalker, but the good thing about Star Trek is that they always improve on these things, and I'm fine with them taking from terrible things if they make it better.
Haven just asked what was wrong with Star Wars Episode 9, and that is opening.
That's a long conversation.
You don't want to open that box.
I think
nobody said somehow the Borg Queen has returned, so we're good.
There's something like a 2 or 3 episode, 2 or 3 hour podcast of me and Julian and like our like everything is permitted and Geeks with Kids talking about how bad that episode.
Yep, there sure is. Yep.
Anyways, you can go, but I was gonna pass it over to Eric because I did go.
I'm gonna just say I agree with the Changelings. I'm indifferent on the invite. I can go either way. I see both points. I like it. Eric,
I like the invite. I'm just gonna throw that there. I like that her playing with her toys, what she assumes are her toys.
I do like how you put that. Yeah.
The goodbye though. This is the first time I was like, maybe one of these 3 are gonna die. It's an away mission. It's the final episode, but I thought it was Riker. Maybe like he seemed like the one out of everyone. His whole arc, like him being sort of down on himself and not being sure of his place, and then him finally rising up to his position, like being that dependable person, and him saving Jean-Luc. That's what I assumed. I was hoping it wouldn't happen because I love them all. But that was the one I was like, maybe.
They actually learned from Nemesis.
Yeah.
Well, you good? Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, like I said, I'm indifferent on the invite. I think they could have just beamed over without the invite because they were going to anyway. I really like how you put it, Eric, about the Borg Queen playing with her toys, because that is what she loves to do in Voyager and First Contact. It's even in Picard season 2, Annie Warshing's performance.
Yeah.
Oh. I wasn't convinced yet that someone was going to die. I'll say when I was. We'll get there. I want to move on to the next talking point, and that's once aboard the cube. Riker points out that there's no more collective, no drones. I mean, they're there, right? But Hawk, I think you put it perfectly last week. It was more like a tomb, right? Drones in their alcove either decomposed or have become almost zombie-like, right? What was it like seeing the aftermath of future Janeway's Borg virus?
Yeah, I really picked up on it last week, and that when he was walking through the cube, and that it was like, the previous interactions with people going onto the cube, it was all buzzing. It's a beehive of activity, and just like everything going off. But when Jack was walking through it last week, it was just silence, no movement, nothing. And then to see it now, and that it's like, yeah, it was a tomb. The Borgs in their alcoves and that with decaying, and then analyzing them, finding out that something is still feeding on them, and that every little bit of necrotic tissue was going to power something, which we obviously knew what at that point, and obviously Jean-Luc did too, or whom, as he said. Yeah, it's devastating in kind of the best possible sense, and that like Janeway just fuck them up like you wouldn't believe, and the fact that this place is there just trying to keep the queen alive. Oh my god, this is a great way of incorporating like a lot of the horror aspects of the Borg back into TNG. We got nice Borg back in season 2,
the build back better Borg,
the build back better Borg and that, but yeah, they really returned the Borg to their roots in this one in a big way.
Nice. MC.
I mean, like when they're talking about the Borg, the fact that they use the word cannibalized, which is always such a creepy word when they use it, because it just like it's a visceral kind of word that just makes your skin crawl. I have come up with a headcanon as to why all of this is going on during Frontier Day, and it has nothing to do with the ships being in formation. It's because that's when Admiral Janeway is going to be busy, like doing all of this stuff. So the Borg's like, she's busy, right? Like, we don't have to worry about her.
Oh my god, that's so true, right? I mean, she had to have been busy because she wasn't in the episode.
I know. One of the biggest missed
Sorry,
opportunities.
I had to put that little low blow there. Yeah. Eric.
I thought it was amazing. The look and the feel was straight out of like a horror film, and I loved that they did that. And then seeing the decomposing. When we go into the mines of Moria and you see that this once rich
great comparison
civilization is now in tatters, like same thing happens in this in the Borg cube, and I loved it. Like seeing the half rotten Borg just like lying there, like it was such a good visceral reminder of how devastating Janeway's attack on them was, and how they like they're just grasping at straws at this moment. Like this was a Hail Mary play, like, and it wouldn't have happened if they didn't make Jack run away. Apparently,
big shout out to the set designers and that for.
God damn it, Hawk!
I know. You go ahead, Julian.
No, go ahead. Say it. It was your point, so you say it. I want you to say it.
Just like a little attention to details and that, like in the Borg alcoves and that, the old school, like
they had the little pyramids too in the
nodes. Yep.
Amazing,
so good.
I'm like just blown away by how fucking dope this set looked. Would you want to step one foot in there? Because I wouldn't. Even if I knew I was walking onto a set, I would have the heebie-jeebies, man. Like I've always thought Borg ships are creepy, and this was just like, whew, yeah. I I love this. I've always loved Endgame. I know that the fandom's kind of down the middle on whether Endgame was a good finale or not. I think it's one of the best Star Trek finales. This moment gives Endgame like so much more oomph, right? It connects it in such a big way because like you just don't realize the ramifications of what future Janeway did. Like, listen, we did 2 episodes before Picard season 3 talking about the moral
implications.
Yes, thank you. The moral implications of using this virus that they've been wanting to use for years. And Admiral Janeway, who didn't make it back with most of her crew, says, fuck this. I'm getting that crew home and I'm going to sacrifice myself and I am going to destroy the Borg. And you see it. You physically see it. And you physically see it in 2023 where you can put all this detail onto 4K screens and it just makes that episode so much more powerful. I'm like so here for how this all looked. I loved it. I loved it. Moving on, it's also in these moments, right, that we learn that even in his positronic body, right, Jean-Luc still has some connection to the collective. Like it transcends like physical body, which is wild, right? Like it's connected to his consciousness somehow because he knows the layout of even this Borg cube, which he should not, which is it's neat. We also get another Jean-Luc goodbye here. And this is the one, and I'll talk about it after you guys go, because of Will's response, right? I know. I know. Always. Thoughts on this moment, the Will's moment, and also the moment realizing that he's still connected to the collective. Hawk.
I know there's a metaphor about abuse and like the way abuse kind of worms its way into a person's DNA and that and like even switching bodies and that we find that Jean-Luc couldn't escape the trauma of that abuse that he went through. So in a way it worked plot wise in that, but in a way I like the metaphor of it and that the Borg itself and that will forever live on in him and in some form of another and that it and the way he can rise above it it's like it is a testament to survival. The goodbye, wow. I mean, it's like at this point I can no longer be your captain. I have to be a father now. And just the way his voice broke up and that, like when he was, what he was basically saying goodbye to both, to Will and to Worf. It was amazing. Riker's response was great, but Worf's was great too, right? It's like the Klingon. There are 2 words that the Klingons. How did he put it? Never admit to knowing.
The knowing.
Yeah. Defeat and farewell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bullshit considering their main saying is today is a good day to die.
Yeah, right. True.
But
True.
I think defeat and dying are 2 different concepts in the Klingon world. It was just one of those moments, and another moment in an episode that had like those moments, and it's like this was so emotional. Not being the final episode, for this crew. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
No, dude, I feel you. I'm just gonna go to the YouTube collective real quick. Wayne wrote all the Borg cubes are identical. If you know one, you know them. They're not much for accessorizing. That's normally true, right? But this is a very different cube, and it's also got something that none of them have ever seen before, including Locutus, with this big beacon right in the heart of it. This didn't look like any cube that we've ever seen. So the fact that Jean-Luc did know about it is surprising. Just want to point that out. MC.
Hello, I'm MC, and I will be devil's advocate tonight.
I will join you on this in a bit.
So in this scene, the whole he still is connected to the collective a little bit. I would not be upset about it if they were not bringing up repeatedly over this season that he was in the Golem body, because in the season 1 finale, they said outright, like, the body is Jean-Luc's, except they've taken out like all of the Aromatic syndrome. So if they've taken out the Aromatic syndrome, that which we now know is Borg shit. So the connection to the Borg shouldn't really be there. But that's a small thing because it's like, whatever. They're on the ship. Seems like they need to figure.
It seems like a big thing. Like, Seven was the only one getting the signal, and like I assume he would have gotten the signal too if he still felt. I don't know.
Right.
It felt weird.
Yeah. It was a weird moment for me. It was just kind of like we're just hand waving it because we need him to, get him
you're so right. This has always been the like, I don't want to say the blessing because I don't think it's a blessing, but it's been the curse of Jean-Luc being in the Gollum body. They have to do a lot of hand waving because I think for a while they wanted you to forget it happened.
Oh, they did.
Right. But then Terry wrote it as a major part of this season, and you couldn't avoid it, which was cool. I like how they incorporated. If they were going to do it anyway, this was the way to do it. But it does cause problems.
Yeah. The goodbyes. I mean, thinking about it, this was actually the part where I texted you that I thought they were going to kill Jean-Luc because it's this feels like, that kind of goodbye, and I was emotionally ready for it to happen. I thought it was a beautiful moment between all of them. I mean, you can just see or hear how much these men love each other, and it's their family, and they do think that he's going to go. And this is like the first time I think they've ever had that moment where they do think that they're going to lose him.
Yeah.
Hello.
Eric. Hello.
I'm not gonna add on to the Jean-Luc thing. I was just hoping they'd say something like, "Oh, I remembered this layout," something like that.
Right,
That's what I
right.
assumed was going to happen, and then they went with, "You have a connection to the Force." But the goodbyes. This is like they were such beautiful moments, but in my brain, I was like, "This is too many goodbyes. No one's gonna die now. This is too many." But like the words that like the acting between these three was so good. Jonathan Frakes, like, I don't understand why he was so worried about bringing back this character in season 1 because every time we've seen him, he's just gotten better and better. And this goodbye was amazing. And like,
We didn't even talk about the threesome line before they left.
Oh, yeah, I was
true.
thinking about that too. Oh my god!
Did you even hear yourself?
Wolf winds up being the funniest one in the series.
he's the straight man. You gotta love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Of course, Worf wouldn't understand the concept of a threesome. Did you see him in that Ryza episode on Deep Space Nine?
Fair. That's fair.
Oh, shit.
His goodbye, Worf's goodbye, was the one that really got me though. Like
Yeah.
that one line was just like, oh, he doesn't show emotion. He has no tear ducts. He can't cry, but it's all there. Like it's all there. I love
Can
it.
Klingons actually like physically not cry?
No.
I don't think that
They don't have-
No, I
they don't have
I
tear
think they've
ducts.
established that. Yeah, they can't cry.
So weird.
I have to say,
Interesting.
yeah. If you told me, what did I say a few weeks ago? If you had told me, if you told me that there were two things this season that I was completely against, that was any of our main crew dying and Data coming back. Well, the minute Data came back, I completely just gave up on that and was madly in love with the whole thing and cried my eyes out. And then in this episode, the minute that Jean-Luc got choked up and Will got choked up and was like, that I know always, I was like, Jean-Luc is going to die. Jean-Luc is going to die. I think I texted both of you that. Jean-Luc is going to die, and I'm okay with it. And I think that it would be a really beautiful way to end the series. Him, Locutus, going down with the Borg Queen. Right? Like, I would have, like, both scenarios would have worked, and I'm happy that he made it through, and I'm happy that no one died, because that's just what we needed. But goddamn, that would have been really good. And they wrote it in a way, I think, that had it been done, I think fans would have accepted it. I don't want to speak for the fandom, because Trek fans are nothing if not
Dangerous
divided.
doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think that people would have accepted it. It was a great moment, and I was convinced. I was convinced that he was going to die there. So, Anything else on this? I think we should keep going. There's a lot.
Yeah.
So we're into our next segment, reaching Jack, getting to Jack or Vox, the Cube trench run. and and Deanna's baller moment. And there's so many other great moments in this. We're going to talk about all of them. When Jean-Luc does reach Jack, it's 35 years all over again, right? 35 years ago. Jack is assimilated and made to look almost exactly like Locutus. If you didn't get goosebumps here, are you even alive? Reactions when you saw Vox all voxed out, Hawk.
See, this is why the Borg Queen dropped shields and invited them in and that, because like I said, this was personal in that, and she wanted Picard in there and that to see what she had done, her final little FU to him, for everything that he had put her through. And that was like, look what I've done to your son. It's like, if you fought me, you didn't want to be Locutus and that. It's like, I've got your son. He's my Locutus now. It was, it was terrifying and it was amazing. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This was my reaction to the whole episode, and I was like, they did that. It's like you said. It's like it. You think there's these things. Oh, I don't want them to do this. I don't want them to do that.
Yeah.
I was kind of again. Everybody was saying, we've been going through Borg sperm like the entire series and that in our conversations, and
then he's like little baby Locutus.
Yeah, and no, and I was like, no, I don't want it to be the Borg. Yeah, they've been to that well before and that, but if you do it right, and Metalis has done it right, it flips like your expectation in that.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, this was great. This is what I wanted all along.
Yeah. MC.
Like seeing him as Locutus, it's like it's super creepy. I'm still on the side of I don't understand why the Borg Queen is so fucking petty. Like, yeah, I think that's the only thing I can really say. The Borg Queen is really fucking petty.
Locutus did beat her twice.
There's
some pettiness there. Not only Locutus, but Janeway. She's had these two super famous Starfleet captains just embarrass her over and over and over. I get the pettiness a little bit.
And she is somebody who has assimilated billions, trillions over her lifetime, and these humans,
pesky humans for whatever reason, right?
Yeah. But that's why I think that she's really arch, because the thing is, she would not have If she hadn't dropped the shield and let these guys on, she would have won.
That's a good point.
Cube, even at 32%, could just blast the shit out of the D.
They could have still gone in and blown up the inside. I feel like.
True. But they would.
Not if the shields were up.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point.
They took down the shields. They took down the weapons.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what her pettiness is. Her failure, and it's like. Are the big Borg really that cool?
That's the downfall of every major villain, is their own pettiness.
Their
and
hubris.
Their hubris. Yes.
Yeah, true. Eric.
Going off of Vox, the first time you hear him over the speakers on the bridge and you hear how robotic he sounds and how monotonous his voice is, you know that things aren't going well for him. And then you see him as Vox Machina, the voice machine, and he's just like, it was perfect. They did that slow pan up from his boots all the way up, and you're like, oh man, they updated the Locutus suit to make it look even better. Fuck, that's awesome. And could you imagine father and son on Halloween both dressed up as Borg? I would love that.
Oh my
god. We finally get the mangled reveal of the Borg Queen. By the way, I will let you a little bit on how the sausage is made here. At least for me, we got the screener on Monday. The screener had a giant watermark right in the middle of the screen, which the entire episode. Which, listen,
it makes sense.
I've defended it to these guys because there were a few complaints, which are totally understandable. But people are assholes and leak shit, and this was the finale. That being said, it was hard to tell watching it in the screener version if the the Borg Queen was a practical effect or not. It looked a little CG watching it on the screener. It looked so good on here, and this was a practical effect.
For sure.
They had a body double for Alice Kriege.
Oh, I thought it was a puppet.
Well, I think it might have been
It probably was
a
both.
hybrid. I think it was like a puppet human hybrid. Like it was so cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna touch a little bit more on Janeway here because she confirms, right? The Borg Queen confirms what we kind of already knew, that Janeway had in fact taken out the entire collective. Right? The Borg were done. She says there was only I, which goddamn, you never really feel for the Borg Queen, but for the Queen of the Borg to have to be an I. For what? How many seconds was it that Data felt like that he wanted to take her offer in first class? 0.27 seconds or something. Like for those 0.27 seconds, you can feel for her for like a second.
It felt like an eternity.
Exactly. That was, the little that was left was being fed on by the Queen to keep her alive, just to see if there was even a remote possibility that her long game plan would come to fruition. Thoughts on this, Hawk?
Giraffe, MC, sorry. I know you do. You guys share the same brain, but
They share a brain.
You are distinct people. You are not Borg. You wonder where the animosity comes from, where she'd actually drop the shields and invite Picard in and that to see what she had done. This is where it came from in that 35 years of isolation. The anger, like living on the scraps of her army and that just to survive, just to get through another day. Of course she would be petty at this point. This is not the same person that Janeway or Locutus or Picard encountered. This is someone who's forever changed by their experiences with both of them. So petty, that's she's probably being reasonably petty at this point. And like I said, that was my only complaint about the screener was like that the watermark being right present in the center of that, because as I commented in that there was so much beautiful shit happening on screen and that it was distracting, and it's like but like the scene in particular in that it was right across her. Even still I could tell there was somebody in that suit. The practical effect was.
I'm glad
great.
you could, because it didn't look that way for me.
Same.
No, yeah, that's no, and I'm glad that you were able to experience that way. MC.
So I think I'm going to continue on this point. If the Borg Queen is going to bring Picard on, she needs to take one of those hundreds of ships and have all of those kids, the Borganic youth, come and defend her.
Oh my God, I love it.
Because if all we've got are cannibalized Borg drones, Borg Queen, you are a wounded animal right now. If you want to gloat in your moment of triumph, be triumphant. Use all of those ships under your control to hold on to Locutus instead of just letting them just wander around doing whatever the fuck he wants. But I get it. I do have to say that considering her actual defeat was at the hands of Janeway, where the fuck was Janeway?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that this is a TNG reunion, and that Janeway is very much a prodigy character.
Missed
right
opportunity putting her on the back of a Chateau Picard bottle. Where have you seen Admiral Janeway? Please call this number.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No. I mean, I do think the Borg Queen speech was really good, but I'm being an asshole tonight.
You're allowed to be an asshole.
Are.
I don't think you are. I mean, you could call yourself an asshole, but it's a good point.
You have your perspective on it, and that's why you're here to tell us.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Eric.
Man, the look of the Borg Queen was amazing. It was so unexpected. I'm so happy that they didn't show it last episode, because the reveal here was perfect. And to think that this being is normally used to hearing hundreds of thousands of drones talking to her the whole time, and then for what, 20 something years just herself. I think
30,
she
over 30.
I think she would have gotten a little more crazy than she already was. So I could see the pettiness coming out even more so because of that. Who wants to talk to themselves for that long? No one.
Me.
No.
I talk to myself all the time.
But for 30 years
Same.
by yourself,
No.
you're gonna make friends with a volleyball and just go crazy.
By the way, if you want to take this a deeper step further, you should go and watch John Oliver's piece on solitary confinement.
Yep, that was last week, wasn't it?
Last week or 2 weeks ago, because that's what this was for her, and
Terrifying.
it is mentally and physically and all sorts of fucking terrifying. So,
There's also a really great SVU episode on the subject.
oh, okay, I love this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of her like getting nutrition from her drones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so gross, but so cool at the same time. Other than that, like it was such a cool, creepy way to bring her back, and it was perfect in my head.
Yeah. I loved this makeup when I could finally appreciate it. This suit, this makeup. I got so many different vibes, right? I got the Queen alien from Aliens. I got
Palpatine.
so just
No.
I'm not going to say
Actually,
that name.
if I was going to reference anything from Star Wars, it would be Darth Maul.
Yeah, a little. Well, yeah, like Spider Maul.
Mm-hmm.
I think the decaying body is very much Palpatine in Episode 9, though.
Yeah.
He was.
it was
just like done.
gross.
Like, he needed
Yeah.
her. He
No,
needed
you're-
Rey's body
Yeah,
to
you're not
to
wrong.
continue.
I'm trying not to talk about that.
I know,
movie,
I'm
but
sorry.
you're,
That's
no,
fair.
but you're absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. It is very
But to,
much like
to
that
take
too.
it off of Palpatine, I think I messaged you. It's like H.R. Geiger just shuddered.
Yeah. Oh no, the HR Geiger thing is absolutely
Spot
true as
on.
well. It's
Like you could see it in the head, it's like the cable, like the
Yeah.
Borg Queen used to be, in a way was like eerily beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, she was.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yep.
like now with the cables, like just kind of malformed into her cranium.
Even
and they
like in the ribs that were just like not even
yeah.
like properly there. They looked like they were caving in. Oh man.
And they kept canon, and she was still missing the arm that you see fall off in Endgame, which is just brilliant continuity. This was brilliant, and you know what? Like, I just don't even know. I absolutely adored this, and again, I love, even though we don't see Janeway, the deep connection to Endgame that this shows. Let's move on. Let's go back to some of our heroes. Geordi is in command of the Enterprise, which is a whole mood on its own. Finally, and they realize the only way to disrupt this transmission is to destroy the beacon at the heart of this cube, leading not only some amazing moments like Blazing Bev outdoing Worf at Tactical. Happy 420, Blazing Bev. Outdoing Worf at Tactical. Data having his Lando trench run moment and getting to have a gut feeling. Data trusts his gut. Will and Worf fighting side by side. The sword moment was like, oh shit, that's heavy. Swords are fun. Swords are fun. But also the super emotional moment, right? Of Geordi having to get Bev's blessing to sacrifice all of the ones that they love. It's really the TNG's crew. It's their crew. It's their needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few moment. Wide range of emotions. Did you guys go through any of these during this whole entire sequence, Hawk?
Yeah, absolutely wide range of emotions and a lot of them fun, like seeing Bev, like, just like target, phaser, torpedo and that. She's like knew exactly where to target and where to shoot, it's like there was a lot of firepower, being aimed at the D and that, like what I love best about like, a CGI version of the D is that evasive maneuvers actually look like evasive
They look like
maneuvers.
evasive maneuvers, just like the Enterprise in Strange New Worlds.
Yes, it was great, but yeah, Bev at Tactical, it was great, and you can see like how she's changed over the years. As she says, it's been a
lot's
weird.
changed, yeah.
A lot's changed in 20 years. Data, of course, having a gut moment. I mean, like before, he would have just he would have scienced it out and given you we have this kind of a probability of making it through from that if I do this. But now it's like I have a gut feeling like he trusts himself. Kind of reminds me of like remember the Data back when he lost to Stratagema and like was running diagnostic after now it's like he's really living the human experience and not having a gut feeling for the very first time. Worf fighting's Worf. I want to see it. I really hope they get Worf back at some point in like some sort of a series and that, because like I love fighting Worf.
If you haven't read it yet, the new Star Trek Defiant comic is out, and he's like the pirate captain of the Defiant right now.
I gotta hit the comics.
It's really
at
cool.
Some point and start picking these up. That's great. Super emotional moments. Yeah, I know. Geordi getting the blessing from Bev, and that to Cycros. What more can I say? It's like this entire sequence kind of ran the spectrum of emotions, and that a lot of them great, and a lot of them very sad too.
Yeah. MC.
Okay, I mean, like, I've been a jerk this entire episode.
Why do you keep doing that? You
stop
haven't been a
it.
jerk. You've had difference of opinions. The only thing that I could say is that Beef Lo Mein 15 was right. That's Simon saying that you just could be a better villain.
Yeah.
So,
But when I came to this, like, this is where my squee, like, came out full force. Like, this is really, really good finale. Like, in a way that I don't think any other Star Trek finale has been, because they use everybody. Like, I mean, just think about the movies, like how Bev is basically just a cameo appearance. But in this, you're giving everybody not only their own moment to shine, but their moment to work together.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of this culmination of everything we've gone through over the past 10 episodes. And it was just so great. I loved, the Bev moment where she's like, I've been through a lot in 20 years. Like, it was so good. And the swords are fun. And when Data, when he was talking, I mean, like, it was such a fun time seeing everybody very triumphant. But when it came to Data, I cried. And like I said in the first episode, I cried because I wanted my mom to be able to watch this show with me. And Data was her favorite character. So just seeing this transformation of Data in that when we saw him in the movies, like with his emotion chip, he experienced emotions, but he didn't feel, they weren't his. And this is him honestly feeling he's human. He can, have this sort of reaction, and just how adamant he was about it. And just that, Geordi, like, trust me. And just the trust that Geordi has in him. It was great. And it was this Death Star run. I don't care. I love it. So yeah, no, I really loved it.
MC should write for Paramount. No cap. Chris writes. Agreed. Just before we get to you, Eric, a couple of quick comments in the chat. From Digital Shaw, my two biggest moments this season was hearing Majel again, and then Worf and Raffi's hug at the end, which was just beautiful. We are going to get to that stuff later. Eric, what do you got?
So my dad is at a choir rehearsal right now, so he's not watching the finale of Picard. But I know as soon as he watches it, he's going to talk about how Geordi is captain of the Enterprise for just this little moment, because he's our favorite character. He has dressed up as him since the 90s, every Halloween, and it's the cutest thing. I made a Geordi visor for him. It's like one of the first things I 3D printed.
It's the cutest thing.
It is the cutest thing.
Get off my bridge.
No, you keep that one. That was a good one. I loved seeing him on the bridge. He was so confident, and I remember the first time he was in the red suit and he took control of the con, and he was still a little bit, he wasn't sure of himself.
In Arsenal of Freedom.
Yes, and then seeing him here, like, just in command and being like badass, and then Bev gets her badass moment, and we get to see the D be the most awesome on screen that we've ever seen it. Just that flyby, like, I can't imagine. I could never have imagined the D flying like this, ever. And to see it, and then you get to see the shields like reflecting off the fire, and just like they did
like
such
that
a
trail.
good job. It was, I I'm so happy I watched it on my projector. Everyone who saw it on IMAX, I hate you all because
I hate all of you. A few of you in the chat looking at you.
yeah, Tara. But I was so jealous. I don't hate you guys. I'm so jealous.
Not
though.
really.
That moment, like, I was like a little kid seeing this whole sequence, and then Geordi and Data having Geordi be the one being like, you know what? We trust his gut. He's the man. He can do it. He can do it.
And how many times has Data done that time and time before? But it's been under different circumstances because you could trust his positronic brain. And even still, he has a positronic brain. That's coupled with human emotion now, and that creates a bit of a risk factor. So it's really about trust and a bit of blind faith. It's awesome.
The Death Star 2 run. Wow. Just wow. Damn. I need to see I want the Blu-rays right now for this and for the emergency teleport later. Like those two sequences are just mind-blowingly movie cinema like quality. To have that type of fidelity on a TV screen is unheard of. And I don't know how Paramount is doing this. Like this is
we'll see how good the budget is in the next show. And
Strange New Worlds, like just the trailer also looks like movie quality. It doesn't make sense in my brain. Did I miss anything? Trench Run.
Deanna.
Deanna.
No, you said Deanna. Like
Deanna comes later.
Oh, that comes later. Sorry.
Will and War fighting. The sword and the heavy sword moment. So good. I love that even in these dire circumstances, they add the humor between these two awesome
they have to
friends. And
so I do have a thing to say about that mech-leth. So like, are all mech-leths like weighted differently, or does Jadzia just lift like crazy?
Jadzia just lifts.
Yeah.
Jadzia just lifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Needs of them any moment. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Everything's great.
So y'all remember I talked about last week, Arsenal of Freedom is the first TNG episode that I remember. And that's the episode where Geordi does take the con. So seeing Geordi in command of this ship just does a lot to me. Like, it's just such a powerful and big moment. And Geordi in this entire episode is just so wonderful for me. And he's got what I've coined throughout the season now, RGF, resting Geordi face. And it is just so good. And I loved every moment of him, and him having, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but this Geordi was so much like the Geordi on that bridge and on that battle bridge of Arsenal of Freedom. He had to make really tough choices without his first officer, without his captain on the bridge. And, having to basically look at Bev and be like, I have to kill your son. I have to kill your on and off lover. I have to kill your friends. And Bev is like, I know. And we have to do it. It is such a great moment for all of these characters and Data. And if we're going to talk about the Death Star 2 trench run, I made sure to make a special note about this. This is for anybody who got to experience the ride on the Enterprise D at Star Trek Las Vegas, the Star Trek The Experience there. Because, and I'll wait for people who've worked on the show to tell me I'm wrong, but I'm not. This whole trench run is an homage to that ride. The way the Enterprise D moved around, it is exactly the visuals that you saw. Not exactly, but because they had a Borg ride later on that they added. And there's so many things that are reminiscent of that ride there. And it is just so cool because I was lucky enough to get to go to Star Trek The Experience as a kid and go onto the bridge of the Enterprise D and do this ride. And it was just, this was everything, just absolutely everything. It was just so cool. Let's move on and talk about Jean-Luc. During all of this, he reaches out to Jack by doing the thing that scares him the most. I've been running for most of my life. Now I have something to go back to, the collective, rejoining it so he can rescue his son. What did you think about Patrick Stewart and Ed Speleer's performances here, Hawk?
Oh, this is like probably one of the best moments in the entire episode. Obviously Jean-Luc and that this was his biggest fear was the Borg and that, but instead of he's always reacted with hatred to the Borg, right? but it's his son, and it's the son he didn't know he wanted, but now it's the son he does, he needs more than anything, right? And it's what better way for him to jack himself back into the collective?
Oh, no pun intended.
Uh-huh. I didn't even see it. I didn't even know I was doing it.
That means you have to hit the button.
Get off my bridge.
All right, I will. Also,
Don't go.
It confirmed a lot of what I had suspected about what it is like to be assimilated, and that it's actually like
The Matrix?
like some wonderful drug. Once you're in there,
yeah.
it's like you are just like everything is great. Everything is awesome, and it's like it's like it's like why Seven fought so hard against being when Janeway took her from the collective. It's why she fought her.
I feel like Seven actually said that at one point, that there was like this euphoria because otherwise he'd go insane.
Yeah, exactly. But all the comfort, and like Jack was right in the middle of it, and then he would, for the first time in like probably like years, he wasn't feeling fear. There was this line about Picard, and that when he was saying like I was like you, and that it's like I didn't have a family. I joined Starfleet looking for a family, but there was always this barrier I kept up, and that, and it's just like, oh my God, it's like he's confiding in him, and that, and it's like I could see the truth in what he was saying, in that, because for years on TNG, he loved his crew, but at the same time, he always kept that barrier between them. And how funny is it to be talking about barriers when we just dealt with Data and Lore and that, and the barrier that was dividing them?
Yes, way to bring it back. Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Kung was saying that in season 2, where was it? Picard told Girardi that they use drugs to speed up assimilation.
Yep, that's true.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yep.
Where was I? Speaking of references, when Picard said, it's like when he wasn't sure if Jack was able to disconnect or voluntarily disconnect, and that him offering to stay. I don't know if you've gotten to this part in The Expanse yet, Julian, of that, but it reminded me of Miller and a certain someone, Eric.
No, he's not there yet.
Yeah, okay, I know. Okay. Yeah, it reminded me of that moment. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, and you're spot on. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments from this episode was that. Loved it.
Love it, Hawk. MC.
I mean, Patrick Stewart and Ed Speleers have been just killing it all season. So giving them this moment together, I mean, they've got to have this moment together. And, what I've been saying, it's like, oh, Picard, like rejoining the collective, like, how does this work? Like, I mean, like, this is like his biggest fear. Like, I mean, we saw him waking up from nightmares of it in First Contact. So him actually making that jump to do it, like, the only person that he would do that for is his son. Like, even with, I don't even think he might do it for Bev. Crew is different.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know, right? Like this is his flesh and blood, but it's also the very worst thing that has ever happened to him.
Yeah. And just like the back and forth between them, like, is just so, the fact that it actually works, like that Picard could actually pull him out of it, is such a huge deal that, I mean, maybe it has to do with the fact that the Queen is weak, but like, we've never seen somebody be able to like de-assimilate themselves just by sheer willpower.
Yep.
This is a beautiful moment. This is like the emotional peak for me, or one of the emotional peaks. This is the first of many Return of the King emotional peaks.
It looks like a seismic activity chart.
It does. The visuals of the collective were so like awe-inspiring, and how could you not want to be connected to all of that? Like you could totally see yourself being in I almost called him Ed Speleers, in Jack's body, like in his spot. Like, could you imagine being connected to everything and everyone all at once? And just feeling all of that, and feeling all that control. Like he must have felt like a god as well.
Oh,
Not-
yeah.
Not,
Right.
not just with the awesome drugs that apparently is, but there's so many hints of like Neo trying to pull Trinity back out of the Matrix, like in what was the fourth one called? I don't remember what it's called. Resurrections, and it felt this. I didn't mind that movie to put that out there, but having that love between these two people be the reason that you get pulled out of this drug induced pleasure zone, like that's amazing. Like I father and child things always get to me, so seeing this connection is just like, it's awesome, especially since I have that connection with my dad about Star Trek, and then having this new connection with Star Trek with my daughters, right? Because of Prodigy, like there, so much of the family dynamic in this show really gets to me, and this was one of the bigger ones. And I was just like, man, like props to the acting. Like, oh man, Patrick Stewart and Ed Spieler, they play so well off of each other. It's incredible.
Just the way that Ed Spilliers is Jack, and just talks about how euphoric it is, right? Like how good it feels and not wanting to go. And you see it's cutting away to the Enterprise destroying the beacon, and they're inside the collective. I also would need to point out that Admiral Frontier Joe, by the way, welcome back, it's good to have you in the chat again, said that that Zero did the same thing in Prodigy, right? As this is all starting to come down, he still doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And this is really when I thought Jean-Luc was, this is the moment where I thought Jean-Luc was going to die. He goes, if you can't come with me, I'm going to stay here.
I know.
Right.
Jesus. I'm going to stay here with you. And here.
And like, I know
Thank
people
you,
were
Hawk. Take it for a second, please.
people are kind of thinking, oh, was it too quick? No, because like Jack has been searching for a connection to his dad for a lot of years. We know that because he showed, we see him in that flashback. He was there at the bar. Jean-Luc didn't know him in that, but Jack knew exactly who he was in that. And it's like the entire season was building up to this moment, that their connection was always a little tenuous in that. Go in the series, it's like they started to warm to each other in that, and Jean-Luc was warming to the idea of the son, but then like episode 9 and that all came crashing down when the truth was revealed, and he had to treat his son like a threat, and his son didn't want to be treated like a threat.
He didn't have to.
Yeah, he didn't have to. Yeah.
I know. But now this was the connection, the real connection Jack was waiting for all his life, was that moment.
That hug just got me like so much. It was just one of like the all-time beautiful Trek moments. It was, I don't even know what else to say there. There's so many actors on this season that deserve acting awards, and it's sad to me to know that that's just not going to happen, because Star Trek always gets looked over.
Yeah, sci-fi in general.
It's really sad. It's really sad. Finally, as it does look like Worf, Riker, Jean-Luc, and Jack all might go down with the Queen, Deanna gets to take the helm one more time, bringing the Enterprise right into the belly of the beast, transporting them away, and as the good guys win, the cube explodes. One last death knell from the Queen. No! Thoughts, Hawk?
It's just great. And at least like MC pointed out, everybody was there for a reason. This is why they're a family, and this is why 30 years after the show's ended, and that we still, when we see them all together on screen, we see them as family in that, because like they all had a part to play. It's like they were better together than alone, which is probably, one of the problems like Picard has had over the last 2 seasons. It's just been Picard, Granted, we've been introduced to like some wonderful characters that we do love, and some characters we never thought we'd see again return to us. But at the same time, they're always better together than they were alone, and this is one of the reasons why. Deanna, when science fails them, and Deanna comes through. It's a little bit of a nod to Nemesis, but definitely done way better than what they did in Nemesis.
Tenfold.
Yeah. And like her making the saving move, pulling them out from the brink of death. Oh.
Yep. Yeah. MC.
It's such a great moment for, I think, like it's layered because Deanna has been known forever since, Encounter at Farpoint for being the one who feels things, and it's basically been a joke on the show. And here they're using it, like basically weaponizing it. So it's like we're going to use this to save our people. And it is connected to her relationship with Riker that has been around, again, since Encounter at Farpoint. But more than that, Deanna's flying the fucking ship. Like, considering how much shit she got for destroying this very ship.
Still, like, the most ungrateful part of the fandom making fun of her for this, because she's literally the reason they're alive. Like, you had to have been a good pilot to stabilize that saucer section to make that landing. Like, she didn't destroy the Enterprise. She saved everybody from fucking dying. Like, get over it, gatekeepers. Come on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Why is Deanna villainized? Right. But Sully Sullivan was like, hey.
Jeez, I wonder why. But yeah, so she flew this ship into a exploding Borg cube. Like, I mean, like what Data did was like very impressive, but this was also very impressive. So like, I like this moment. And yeah, I mean, like this was a continuation of the other, like everybody has to have their moment and it all works together beautifully.
Eric.
This Princess Leia moment was amazing. I love that she felt Riker. Like MC said, from the first episode, we saw how deep their connection was. The first episode of TNG, and the fact that they kept that on. Even with her not being in that many episodes this season, their connection has never faltered. They've always had that deep connection for each other, and it's only grown since we've seen her come back. Man, her taking the helm again, just like she did in Generation. It was such a cool callback. Like you wouldn't expect it. Who thought that was gonna happen this episode? No one. And when she did it, at least when I saw it, I watched it with my wife, and we're just like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, it was the best,
right?
It was the best,
man. And then just seeing her like swoop in, like it like
so good.
It like slid in. It didn't just park on top. It slid in.
It drifted. It was like a Tokyo drift, right?
I know. It's just like, oh my god, this is such a cool moment. And I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Like that was a FX shot that was just. It was beautiful. It was beautiful chaos, which is what they do well. Like this last episode, everything exploding, everything was so meticulously done to look like everything was blowing up, but without it being hidden in darkness. Like you could see everything crumbling. Yeah. And that's a hard thing for CGI people to do. Did I miss anything?
No, not really. Just the death knell of the Queen.
The scream was awesome. And then the Ewoks celebrated afterwards when the ship flew out of the fire. Man.
We just didn't get 4 fireworks on Coruscant, but that's okay.
Exactly.
I have to say that like every time that Deanna has taken the helm in the movies, and this has been like one of my favorite moments in Star Trek. And every single time that she's done it, it's been for such an important reason, right? Mm-hmm. Like in Generations, she literally saves that ship from like doing an uncontrolled spin like SpaceX this morning. Sorry, Elon, not sorry. Yeah, I took a jab at you. Then she takes it in Nemesis after going through all the bullshit that they had to put in about her in that fucking movie, even though I'm a Nemesis sympathizer, not about the mind rapey bullshit. But she takes the helm and she's the one who fucking rams the scimitar, right? Mm-hmm. That's dope. And then this, to save everybody, to swoop in like that, is one of the coolest Star Trek, just one of the coolest Star Trek moments ever. Apparently I stole Haven's mailbag. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just I loved this moment, and I'm so just love that Deanna was able to get it. So yeah. Real quick before we move on to the next talking point, I forgot to put trivia into the mailbag, into the outline. So don't worry. I had a plan.
Ooh.
Last week, our trivia question was, and that was the last trivia question. What was the main difference between the last time that we saw the Enterprise D bridge in Generations and now? And this stumped a lot of people. We got a lot of incorrect answers, and we only got 2 correct answers. And this being the last trivia, sometimes it's good to be last. Nice guys do finish last, because I'm going to give posters to the 2 people that got it right. So gongratulations, Andrew Ingleby. I'm so sorry if I butchered your last name. And Robert Geiger. You guys got it right. The answer was that the Enterprise D in Generations had been refitted to have 2 modules on the sides, 2 new stations. There were stations there, and Geordi put it back to its original TNG seasons 1 through 7 bridge format. They got rid of the extra consoles and brought it back to all its glory. So congratulations to you guys. And like I said, nice guys do finish last. I'm not only giving you posters, I'm going to send you some Patreon only gear. One of Eric's awesome Wednesdays are for beheading magnets, and I think I have enough of them. The boldly get the hell out of here sticker. So it's nice to finish last sometimes. Congratulations to you two. We really hope you enjoyed the trivia. I think we're going to try and do something similar with Strange New Worlds. So stay tuned. Congratulations. Congratulations. Here we go. During all of this, during all of these moments, there's a whole other story going on because they're trying to retake the Titan. Seven launches a daring plan to retake the ship and disrupt the Borg's ability to add them to the network. We finally get to see Raffi and Seven kick ass together, which was lacking this entire season. Dr. Oak also on the bridge. Luckily, MC, was it you last week who said that her poor medical staff probably assimilated her or killed her in her sick
Oh, that
bay?
was not me.
That was not you. Okay, someone said
clever.
that. Someone said that. But I'm really happy she's not dead either. But they came up with this brilliant plan to trap them in the transporter room. Just what did we think about all these scenes? And also, Seven getting to have this rousing captain speech and just rally a group of what equal to be a bunch of lower deckers. Hawk.
Listen, it's what we've all been screaming about all season, and that Seven is a natural born leader. We do it, Dead naming from Shaw and everything on the side, and that we always knew that where she was not where she was supposed to be, right? As just a captain of some run-of-the-mill ship or a commander on some run-of-the-mill ship. No, she's a natural born leader. She's a tactician. What else could I say? Coming up with a strategy like that, it's we need to find an answer. Picard's there trying to disconnect the Borg cube. We need to do our part here, and that planetary defenses are not going to withhold until they find us even if they do find the solution. And doing those stealth runs through the entire fleet, that was just it was magnificent to watch, and it was
some of the coolest visual effects in Star Trek ever.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to say. It's a contrast between her and Shaw that they've been kind of building up to all season of that, and we reach at the end as we see a little later on in that. She was always meant to captain a space, a ship in Starfleet, and this was her moment.
MC.
Not since Jake Sisko have they given me a character that I more identified with in Star Trek with that Cook character. I just I can't even he was. I adore him. If they do any sort of spin-off, they need to have him on the show.
Why is there a cook on the ship? They have replicators.
Why not?
It's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it
had to be an Enterprise reference, right?
Maybe, but he's a cook. He's not a chef. I feel like that's a very specific his whole thing of not being sure of himself. It's no, he's not a chef. He's a cook. So yeah, no, here for him. I don't care if it doesn't make any sense because of replicators. It works for me. That being said, this whole storyline with Seven, I do love it. Like, I love Seven taking charge and everything, but considering where we left things off last week, this felt small to me.
Yeah.
You have the entire fleet against them, and we're mostly just worried about being on, like, getting the Borg kids off the bridge. And then we turn the cloak on, and then we're okay. I really wish we had gotten more. I mean, granted, like, I'm sure, like, it cost a lot to do that Borg Queen and the Borg Cube, and you couldn't do, like, because, I mean, like, that fleet, there was a lot of ships in that fleet, and it was not copy and paste like it was in the first season. So that's massively expensive. But if you're going to have these just galaxy ending stakes, like, you really have to show them. And I'm still disappointed that I was wrong about there being an on your left moment.
Didn't I
really
text you?
that.
I texted you being like, oh my God, here it comes. This is the on your left moment because of the synopsis, right? It made it sound like there might be one. I don't think that this is a defense, but I do want to say, because I actually completely agree with you, that I wish that we had more of this. Terry did an interview today and straight up said, I ran out of budget. And I wanted to do all of these things. Like, I wanted Janeway. And there was actually legitimately a point where, like, Paramount was coming up to him and basically laughing in his face and be like, you can't do that. Yeah. Because, so, like, for example, and I'm taking this, by the way, as that Ro Laren is still alive. He wanted to have a scene where Ro and Tuvok were found in, like, the bowels of the Intrepid still alive. But they ran out of budget. They wanted to have Janeway. They ran out of budget. I think there's ways to cut around corners and do some things differently, like in the middle of the season, to be able to make those things happen. But you can't have everything. Yeah. And still not having everything, you could have expanded upon the scene. So I agree with you. I didn't let you go, Eric. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, like, well, that's the thing. It's like, I understand that he doesn't have the budget for it. But my job as a critic is to criticize the stuff that's not there. And I mean, especially 100%. me, I criticize the storytelling, and I can feel that Janeway was supposed to be there. Yeah. Like, it's an obvious miss. So
yeah. Completely agree. Eric.
I agree with MC. So I'm going to go off of that in a second. To add on to it, the transporter guns was so cool. I thought that was such a cool plan. Like, it was such a neat thing. Why didn't they use force fields in that room?
I was wondering the same damn thing.
Yep. I don't understand that. So that's another missed opportunity, but it was cool seeing Seven and Raffi work hand in hand and try and figure out things. I am down with the cook as well. I joke about how silly it is to have a cook there, but in my head, he has a food cart and he goes to every deck and just gives people food. That's what I hope is happening. So I want to see him when Legacy comes out. Hashtag Star Trek Legacy. Make it happen. Internet. It did feel weird that this one ship that wasn't the most technically advanced, like they had taken parts from other ships and made this exploration vehicle. Like, it was the one that, was sort of the decoy, right? But it's such a smaller ship with so little firepower, and we had like hundreds of ships there. How they lasted that long?
The fact that they're alive is just,
exactly.
Yeah.
The Defiant, when it fought the Borg cube, it should have looked like that. Like, it should have been falling apart. That would have made more sense when they refitted as the Enterprise, right? If it was actually, it didn't look like, oh, we broke a couple lights. That was it. That being said, I'm sad about the budget thing, because Janeway was mentioned so much and so frequently that this was the moment everyone was like, well, here comes the Voyager, the new Voyager, or maybe the Protostar.
You know what's equally sad about that is that in the not copy paste fleet, this beautiful fleet of starships, like MC was saying, I didn't notice it the first time I watched it. I did the second time. There is a Pathfinder class vessel in there, which is what the new class of Voyager is. So,
that's such a missed opportunity.
But what's cool, I will say, what's cool about that Pathfinder class is it's the USS Drexler after Doug Drexler. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will say that there are few movies where I will test audio. This sequence is going to be one of them for surround sound. Whenever I help set up surround sound, this will be one of them because the sound design in this whole episode, especially this moment, especially the teleport sequence when you can hear the Borg cubes all around you collapsing.
Oh, it's so good.
But here, the phaser fire and the distant phaser fire, it's not just right there in front of you with the ship. You can hear them blowing up the space station at the same time. The planetary defenses. It was amazing. And seeing the planetary defenses just crumble was unexpected. I did not
It's
expect
very
that.
reminiscent of Lower Decks during the battle of the Kali classes and taking out space dock there. It was really cool.
Again, beautiful chaos.
I just want to read Kang's comment real quick. It's a shame that we won't be able to get Icheb serving on the Enterprise under 7. Yeah, a little bit of sad face there. Maybe, though, if we get Star Trek Legacy, hashtag Star Trek Legacy, maybe Naomi Wildman will show up one day.
Oh, that would be good.
Naomi Wildman and Tom and B'Elanna's daughter. They brought back a lot of things from All Good Things in this season. Tom and and that means that the Endgame universe also exists. Give us Tom and B'Elanna's daughter in the new show.
I could also see Icheb. Q Jr. would totally bring his friend back to the
Also, Riker and Troy's kid is
Kestra.
Kestra's in Starfleet. She could totally be an ensign on that ship.
USS Nepo Baby.
Yeah, the USS Nepo Baby. It totally
It's
is.
called Legacy for a reason.
I am going to briefly just I don't want to take away anything that MC said because it's all right. I was going to just add on to it because I completely agree. I wanted more of this. As much as I just adored having all of the TNG crew get their moment, I also adore 7. Like, I love 7. And I had to warm up to Rafi over a season of Picard, but like Rafi's a character that I finally really enjoy, and I feel like she got screwed over a lot this season. I mean, they do finally get their moment here, but I think it was like a little bit too little too late. I wanted more. I wanted more of the Titan battle, and I wanted On Your Left, and we didn't get it. That being said, it was still really fucking cool. The CG was so good.
Yes.
One more moment here after the Borg cube is destroyed and all of the, what did you call them, MC? Borg
The Borgonic youth.
the Borgonic youth. They become unborgified, and Sydney, oh my god, she's like, oh my god, Commander, I'm so sorry. And then 7 just goes in for a very earned hug, and Sydney breaks. I love this moment so much. I didn't really make it a talking point, but if you guys want to go off on that real quick, you can. I had to mention it because I loved it.
Just real quick, like, Sydney goes through what every person we've seen assimilated goes through, and that, that realization, like, what have I done? Because the Borg will make you remember everything that you've done, which is kind of why Picard probably knew the layout, where that, where to find it. Everybody remembers everything about their experience and her breaking down, but 7 hugging her is like, I know, I've been there there before.
Just to be snarky, it's nice to have 2 women have, physical acts of affection.
Why
this
is that
season.
snarky? It's not snarky. It's
because,
the truth.
I mean, and I think this is the only time any 2 female characters have like any physical contact with
and they
each other.
still did not give Raffi and 7 a kiss in this episode.
I was going to talk about that later.
Did they get back together? I wonder.
Still can't tell. Would it be inappropriate for them to be
that's what I was wondering.
item if she's a first officer? I don't know how Starfleet romantic laws work.
Well, I mean, if you think back on the first Enterprise, the chief medical officer was involved with the captain, the Aprils.
Oh, yeah.
But they weren't both on the bridge. That's like,
it's still underneath the captain in more ways than one.
Damn. Yeah. Anything else on the hug? Good.
These 2, I look forward to the relationship in Legacy because they're the Una and La'an. I want them to have like I love that relationship on Strange New Worlds, and I hope they have something like that in Legacy.
Yeah. Gonna get all smiles here. This is Captain 7 of 9 of the Starship Enterprise. The day is one. Will does a captain's log, and I want to know, is he doing a captain's log because after this whole thing, he's temporarily put in command of the Titan again? That's kind of my head canon, because there'd be no reason for him to be doing the captain's log. It would be Jean-Luc doing an admiral's log. That's my head canon anyway. We get Tuvok's debrief, where Seven is about to resign her commission. We get one last report from the dipshit from Chicago himself. A recommendation from Captain Liam Shaw that Seven should be promoted to captain upon the Titan's return. Tuvok says, resignation denied, captain, which is just going to go down as one of those all-time amazing Trek moments. And I know there's some disappointment about that not being Janeway. Even if Jane was in this episode, I am so happy that it was Tuvok here, because Tuvok was her mentor. All for that. We jump ahead a year, and it's revealed that because of the heroics of the Enterprise crew, the Titan A has been rechristened the Enterprise G. Seven is the captain of the Enterprise. Thoughts on this, and Tuvok being the one there, and the legacy of captains of the Enterprise that Seven follows, Hawk?
Oh boy, that's so much. I mean,
It is a lot.
Was it too much? Like, the Enterprise G, I guess, but it's like nuts on top of the fudge on, on top of your sundae, and that,
I made a Sunday analogy on the Discord earlier. I like the Sunday analogy.
it was
Now I want a Sunday.
Me too. Where's the ice cream, man?
I already ate it. It's gone.
God damn it.
Seven being the captain of the Enterprise now. It's wow. It's just too good, It's like but like the entire time I was thinking, like, did the internet just will a new Star Trek series into existence?
Wouldn't be the first time.
Right?
Would not be the first time. That's why this podcast currently exists.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, Metalis, you cheeky bastard, and that it's like the entire season, built up to this one moment where they could pretty much splinter off and do this and do it right. Captain Seven, Raffi, Commander Raffi, and this whole new next generation of characters. Like, I'm totally there for it. I'm glad Tuvok's alive. We knew he was going. I think we already knew that he was going to be back, because Tim Russ said he's going to be. He would definitely be in 2 episodes this season. So and as I said, like, we haven't talked much about the resolution of the Changeling story. It's pretty much just. They wrapped it up for me neat enough. I know people wanted more, but
Yeah.
As far as wrapping it up, yeah, okay, they've done that. Yeah, I just can't wait to see what her catchphrase is.
Yep, same.
Go
MC.
fast now.
So when I was watching this episode, I then had to go look at, once everything wrapped up, I was like, let me look to see how much time is left. What? 20 fucking minutes? Like, how is there 20 minutes left? They've done everything. And then this episode became Return of the King.
Certainly did.
And like, there's stuff in it that I liked. And then there's stuff like the whole captain's log from Riker. I did not like. It felt just a little too, let's wrap everything up in a bow. And like, this is kind of like where I was like starking about the changelings, the just kind of, and that was not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I know they didn't have any money, but how nice would it have been to have O'Brien standing next to.
That's what I was saying. Didn't I say that last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all.
I think it's been
O'Brien.
said throughout the season, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just standing next to Bev, like doing the transporter thing, because that would have totally made sense. The Seven scene was great. Like, I mean, I liked it being Tuvok. I would have liked there to have been a mention of Janeway, maybe, like to have Tuvok say, afterwards, be like, Admiral Janeway tried to pull rank.
Like,
I don't know if it could have worked, but I could
make a reference to Prodigy, even, right? Like, like Tuvok could have just been like, "I'm sorry, the Admiral wish he could be here," because there's time travel shenanigans involved with Prodigy. Like, we still have, like, it could be a simple line like, they don't know where Ezra is in Ahsoka, right? Like, we still don't know her whereabouts. Right, like something that simple.
Well,
that
I mean,
we should go watch.
We know that Janeway is around because Tuvok or fake Tuvok mentioned she was working on Frontier.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay, damn it.
And Aaron Watkey said that the Prodigy crew was around too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they could have worked something in, and considering we had all of the Janeway references, it would have been nice to have had like a finale on that one. I like the Titan being rechristened the Enterprise G, because I don't think not only is it a tribute to the Enterprise, it's a tribute to the Titan, because the Enterprise has always been the flagship of the Federation, all the way back to the NX-01. The Enterprise, there's a cachet behind that. So making the Titan that says something about what this ship did during Frontier Day. So I like it. I like Seventh being the captain. I do have to say Tim Russ looked pretty rough in this appearance. I mean, that might have been because like he had been taken over by a changeling, but he didn't look that rough in the last episode he appeared in. So I don't know like what they were doing there.
Could have been lighting, right?
Yeah.
That was a bit of a dark scene. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. You good? More?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just like going through it. Yeah, no. I did think all of this went on a little too long, just like I have. But parts of it were good and parts of it were a little.
Yeah, fair. Eric?
I loved it. I love the ending. I like Return of the King. I don't give me more fucking
Return of the King is my favorite Lord of the Rings
Give
movie.
me more
The extended
more
edition
endings.
too.
Yeah, I look forward to the extended edition of here where we see Riker coming in and jumping on Picard's bed and being all happy about it. That's a halfling.
I got you. I thought you were going somewhere with the threesome reference.
Oh
earlier
yeah,
on.
I should have done that. The captain's log I thought it was really neat because they do often, just have their own personal logs. I don't think he's the captain of the Titan. I feel like when Shaw
But he
gave
said captain's log.
yeah, but he's a captain.
He is a captain.
He is a
Okay.
captain.
Yeah. No, you're right.
The not having O'Brien being part of the solution and him not being the most important person in the galaxy, missed opportunity. Why didn't they do
Yeah.
that? Bring that into full canon with Lower Decks. It would have been amazing.
Yeah.
The changeling resolution sort of was a little bit sour in my like it was a sour taste in my mouth. It bothered me. Let's see. The briefing with Tuvok was amazing. I wanted Janeway. Like I talked to Julian about this. Like I would have loved to see Janeway there, but Tuvok makes sense. It does make sense. And there's something sweet about him being like, no, you get to be captain now.
At least it wasn't Chakotay.
No one wants that. He's stuck in the future still. They still haven't found him. Who's more fitting to be promoted to captain than Seven? She's such a good character, and everything that she's gone through and everything that she's experienced has led her to this moment. And you know what? A lot of people are upset about the Titan being rechristened the Enterprise, but that crew saved everyone. Yeah. Like if
It's
they're
not even just the crew though, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that ship and you saw they were refitting that ship. So it may look old, but it looks like the original Enterprise. Like it fits in the style of the original Enterprise, which I love. It's probably refit to shit, so it's probably the most advanced ship now.
Yeah. And that's the point that I want to make. I listen, I feel like one of the only things I've talked about is how fucking much I love the 7 and Tuvok scene. I love the promotion scene so much. But if you go and tell me that you didn't have at least an inkling in your subconscious looking at the USS Titan, which is a Neo-Constitution class ship, that it somehow wouldn't be connected to the Enterprise in some way by the end of the season, I don't know if I believe you, because it's the Enterprise.
Yeah.
It looks like the Enterprise. It doesn't look. Listen, okay, we're gonna play with toys. We're gonna play with toys for a minute. Come here.
You say that like it's a chore.
Like even if it wasn't the ship, that crew would have been the crew of the Enterprise.
This is the Titan.
Right?
This is the Titan. This is Will Riker's Titan. And then Eric has his broken little ship. Oh, no, that's not the broken one.
No nacelles now.
No nacelles. But that is the Titan. That is a Constitution class ship. It is
Yeah,
the
that
Enterprise.
Yeah.
Making it the Enterprise is beautiful, and I cried, and I'm here for it.
Make it so.
Make it so.
Um,
It's the Enterprise. It's the Enterprise.
it is, and
It looked the registry fit better as NCC 1701 than NCC 8028 0102 A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
the lettering looks perfect on it. Everything.
Yeah.
That crew. Never have I wanted to meet more about. Like, we've met them all, but I want to know more. Like, this is this is an
Agreed.
Enterprise crew.
Yeah. And Lanky Guy puts it perfectly in the YouTube chat. It looks more Enterprise than the F did, and I like the F. I love the F too,
didn't like
but I agree. This looks more like the Enterprise than the F. Whew. Let's talk about the Nepo baby and nepotism, because we also learned that being a Nepo baby has its privileges. And I like at least that Jack says nepotism has its privileges because there's no way around it. Jack is stationed aboard the Enterprise because his father is Jean-Luc Picard and his mother is Beverly Crusher. You could call it, an advanced placement all you want. It's nepotism. Thoughts, Hawk?
Well, nepotism is ugly, and I discourage it actively. But your parents are if your parents are Beverly Crusher and Jean-Luc Picard, who have saved the universe countless times, been kind of treated shabbily by Starfleet in recent years, and that with their
they owe them one.
They really owe them one, and that the mistakes that they've had to come in and clean up, and that networking the fleet. What the hell, dude?
Don't you think that Seven would have been like, I want him on my ship? Like, I feel like she was the one who was.
I think that might have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can call it nepotism if you want. It's like, it's like this is earned. Jean-Luc's like, put him on the ship. It's like,
Yeah. MC.
Okay, so I wouldn't have had a problem with this if he had been a doctor, like he's been doing for however long he's been a doctor. But making him like special assistant to the captain, what kind of bullshit Nepo baby position is that?
It's not a real position.
It's not. And I don't care for his whole like swaggering onto the bridge, and like I would have been okay with him sitting in the seat, but like the whole thing of, do you want me at the comms? They speak 13 languages, so it's like, oh fuck you. Neo Uhura speaks 37.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
And just like all of that, like the only good thing that came out of that was kind of confirmation of Crasher.
Yeah.
Because like that whole I usually do when Seven told Sydney to ignore him, I was like, oh, they're dating.
Oh, they're an item.
They're dating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I wish Seven in that moment, MC, instead of setting out of the chair, it was like, get out of here, Lower Decks, because he's a Lower Decker. He's an ensign, man.
I would have loved that. Like, we need more references to Lower Decks in live action, even without Boimler and Mariner appearing in shows. I would have loved that. And yeah, no, the position's bullshit. And like, he's a doctor. Have him be a doctor instead of like this really nebulous position that doesn't mean anything. And also, I just need to point this out very quickly. Seven, like the whole thing about the, Seven, make up your catchphrase, which I get, that's a running gag now in Star Trek, that people need to come up with what they say to make the ship go. But I don't like the whole idea of this is the first line of your legacy. And I was like, well, what the fuck has Seven been doing for the last 25 years?
That was too much of a wink to the audience. Like, remember how he said I wanted to make Star Trek Legacy?
Star Trek Legacy, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait till that show. Get that phrase.
Yeah. I'm good now.
I think seeing the Picard family go up to the Enterprise G in the shuttle was, they're doing their little fly around our legacy thing moment. But all that was going through my head is, poor Laris. Whatever happened to you? She just got thrown away. But they're trying to get rid of the first two seasons. I understand, I guess. I'm not down on it. I like seeing Beverly and Picard together because that's who I've shipped since the first season of TNG.
Without that ship, we wouldn't have amazing other independent Star Trek podcasts like Where's Bev and Crusher Coffee.
Exactly. Having Jack on board as the counselor, it was a little weird at first. Or not counselor, special advisor.
Special counsel.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes
he's
sense. It makes sense in my brain because he's like this Han Solo pirate person who's gone through all this weird stuff. So I assume that's why she's there. I don't know. That's what's going through my head. I do think that the "What's your legacy?" line was a little too wink wink for me. That was just a little. That just went over the line. That being said, I loved seeing it fly off under Seven's command. That made me super happy.
Yeah, I love the shuttle scene. I love that they acknowledge that he's a Nepo baby because it needed to be acknowledged. And I do love the emotion on Jean-Luc's face when he sees that it's the Enterprise. I hate this bridge scene. Like, right? It doesn't take away my love of the finale, but like it didn't do it for me. I love Espaliers and he's a great actor and it was a wonderfully acted scene. It just did not work for me. I wish that it was fully Seven's moment. Yeah, I think it needed to be fully Seven's moment. Instead, the focus was on Jack a little bit more. And I don't know. I'll forgive it because this finale was overall fucking amazing. But I was not here for this. Ensign Roe Aaron says Sir Patrick really knocked the acting out of the park this episode. Oh, and then some. And then some. Speaking of then some, saying goodbye to the Enterprise D, and that was a crazy game of poker. I really don't need to, I didn't write anything here. How do you feel saying goodbye to the Enterprise one more time and the poker game to close out the series? Hawk.
Well, the power down of the systems and that was great. But obviously outshined by the fact that they let Patrick Stewart do one more Shakespearean quote for the series. Can I read it?
Yes, please.
Julius Caesar is wonderful.
There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted all the voyage of their life, is bound in the shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. Loved it. Loved that it ended on the poker game. It just, I know it's, people kind of critique it. Maybe it's a little too on the nose, but at the same time, you kind of see them outside of like Starfleet and Star Trek and that, and just like see the family. The weight of responsibility is kind of seems to have been lifted off their shoulders at this point, and that, and they're just their family hanging out and having fun again. Yeah. Perfect way to close it out.
MC.
I mean, like this whole ending scene. First of all, like very convenient of Guinan to be standing right next to the camera the entire time, giving them the stink eye. I know they can't afford Whoopi Goldberg, but I just thought it was really
bothered
funny.
Me so much.
This ending poker game. I mean, of course, it is evocative of All Good Things because it was the first time that Picard plays poker with them. But this was so joyful. Like just spending so much time on them, playing this game, while in All Good Things, it's, just as they're handing out the cards, like the scene ends. But this, you get to spend a moment with them and just kind of embrace that, we've gone through, 30 plus years with these people. And I get the feeling that now these people are going to stay in each other's lives more than they have been. I mean, obviously with Bev, but I mean, even more than that, like, Riker and Troy are going to move closer by. So yeah, they're going to see more of each other. One thing that really stood out to me was Geordi calling Picard Jean-Luc. I mean, I think he's done it this season, but it really stood out in this moment. And it's like, oh, these ranks mean nothing to these people anymore. Like, this is just them hanging out, bullshitting. And apparently Bev can really put away the blood wine.
Yeah.
Okay, question. Drinking contest between Spock and Bev. Who would win?
Bev.
Oh,
Bev all day.
even against that Vulcan physiology.
Yeah.
No, Bev all day.
I agree.
Bev all day. Bev all day. Yeah.
Cool.
Eric.
The Guinan thing bothered me. That was the only thing that bothered me about this ending because it was so heartwarming. Like Hawk and MC said, these people are family. The card playing at the end of All Good Things, there was a little bit of melancholy, but because Picard was sitting there, he's like, I should have done this a long time ago. And here he's just they are just this tight-knit family back together finally again, and they're not going through the worst thing ever right now. It's just them enjoying their company. And the fact that the theme is playing right over this as we're just watching them play cards and having fun with each other, I don't know how you could watch this and not have a giant smile and maybe a tear in your eye, because that's the perfect way.
Lots of tears,
right?
while the credits were playing.
This was the perfect ending. I didn't want any of them to die, and I'm happy none of them died. And the fact that they're back to being this full family after having 2 seasons of not seeing anyone, like that, it was a beautiful moment. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah. I'm gonna probably cry again. Shutting down the Enterprise. I'm gonna repeat some things that you guys are gonna hear next week, but the shutting down of the Enterprise D really hit me hard. Like, that was such. I know that Generations is kind of like a sour note for some fans, but the score to that movie is just brilliant. And hats off to Dennis McCarthy, who never gets enough credit, because he is responsible for a lot of the TNG music. And to have that playing over Majel going shutdown system initiated of this bridge that means so fucking much to me, and just the wide shot of the D, just like it slowly panning out as the turbo lift doors. I mean, like, you could not have filmed a more emotional scene for people whose show this was and who grew up with this and who relied on the show for so many things. And Jean-Luc saying, take care of her, Geordi, is just...
You're also saying, like, when Riker says, I miss that voice, like, that's... Like, that line alone.
Yeah.
It's just... I love that moment. And I was already crying at the point, so, like, the poker game, like, I was already, like, a little numb, but it just, like... It's so good, and the I never knew I needed, like, the TNG motion picture theme playing over them playing a game of poker. It just was so utterly perfect, a perfect way to end this series,
or this crew at least.
For this crew, except there was another better way to end this series, because I don't think I've ever yelled the word "what" as loud as I did as Jack is unpacking his bag and Jonathan fucking Delancey shows up on my screen again. Q, man. Fucking Q. I don't even know what to say. I was like, my mind was fucking blown. 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 Hawk.
Same, mind blown. I was watching the screener with my brother, and that we was like, "What?" And he's like, "Hey, Q got bored to death." And it's like, and I thought about that, and I thought about it, and I was like, he's right in that, because, like, as Q said, you think too linearly in that. As I said that before, the Q themselves are pretty much unfathomable as far as, like, who they are, what they are capable of, and that, and so. Something like death, not enough to stop.
That's a Tuesday.
Q. Yeah, Q. Yes, exactly. That's the dot over the I in the Jeremy Bearimy. That's the Q's existence, is a Jeremy Bearimy.
Exactly.
Yep.
So yeah, Jonathan, and like, but as great as I thought, like, that final moment between him and Jean-Luc was, I am so happy he's back. I'm really happy he's back.
And what about that wardrobe?
Where? I know. Like, I was trying to place it. I was like,
It's
looks
very Judge-like without it being the exact Judge outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a little moment there, I kind of, is he wearing some sort of old style Romulan uniform? With like a.
It looked a little Romulan. Yeah.
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 MC.
First of all, I want to shout out the lovely picture that Jack put down of Bev and Picard, which is obviously from some sort of award ceremony.
The 90s.
Yep.
I really like that. This Q moment. I mean, can Terry Matalas yell, "I want a spin-off" any louder?
That's so true.
And I liked seeing Q again because obviously, this omnipotent being that can go flit through time and space, it can never actually die. It can just like appear at different times. But on that token, considering this whole idea of, legacy and, carrying things on, if Keegan Delancey wasn't working for like the U.S. Foreign Services, this would have been the perfect time to bring him back, bring Q Jr. back.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric.
From the moment I saw Jack put down a little Enterprise D, I was like, oh fuck, this is amazing. And we saw in the first episode, no one cares about those little D ships. Jack does. And then we see Q show up. You hear the voice first before you see him. And my brain exploded. Like Julian, like it was just nothing I expected. And he looked so good and powerful again.
He looks so good.
The last time we saw him, he was dying. So
yeah,
like to see him in full form again, I was
who
like,
said
fuck
it?
yeah.
Who said it in the chat? Tara did. Good, because it didn't make sense that he died. It never made sense. They never explained it because there were two different showrunners last season.
Yeah, it just seemed like he got bored and died. That's what it felt like. Maybe that's what happened. I hope that's what the explanation is. It's, man, Terry Matalas and his hashtag Star Trek Legacy, like that. This moment. If the ending of this season, like the poke game, didn't make you want to get more Star Trek, this moment was the moment you jumped on Twitter and was like, "Give me this show now. Give it to me now." Because seeing where his trial goes, his humanity trial, Jack's, man, I
want to know where people get this information. Like Haven saying that they heard that the screener didn't have the mid-credit scene. It absolutely did.
I wonder if the early screeners didn't, like the ones that went out a long time ago.
Oh, like for the like a lot of the people saw like a year ago. Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. I'm not gonna ask because we're already into 2 hours. I'm not gonna ask for final thoughts because we've given all of our thoughts. Unless you really have something that you need to say.
I do. I have one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
This was a 10-hour movie, and I didn't think I needed that, but I did, and I'm happy they did it this way. Terry Matalas, fucking genius. Thank you for doing this. Like,
and just as a quick comment, they should have wrapped up Laris in some way, at least have a mention of her.
Agreed. Eric said what I've been saying all season. This was a 10-hour movie. This was a long form movie, and it is cinematic and it's beautiful. So, we'll save this for when we do the review because we've gone over. No, you know what? I lied. Briefly, overall thoughts on the season. Hawk.
If there's such a thing as a redemption arc in that, this series has had it, 2 seasons with very mixed, very disappointing results, and then the third one blew away all expectations I had. I was waiting for that. Part of me was waiting for that drop, somewhere along the mid to the late. And it's like, no. Any complaints aside in that, this has been a perfect season. And, I'd like to join you guys in saying thank you to Terry Matalas and that for doing this. It's the season I didn't know I needed.
MC.
I mean, like, there's stuff that I've obviously complained about. Not just in this episode, but in previous episodes. I think it was really well put together, just all together. And certainly considering the last two seasons, like, this is great. I certainly don't like it as much as you guys, but this is something that I can see watching again, which I can't say of the other two seasons of Picard.
Yeah. Eric?
When I was 6 and my dad called me in from playing on my swings to watch the TNG premiere, I never thought I'd be here 30 years later feeling like that 6-year-old again.
Same.
Like, this is amazing. This was for all those fans. This was built upon legacy and expands the universe in a way that's meaningful and profound. I feel like everything that's done in the first 2 seasons, nothing matters from it. You don't need to watch them because they don't matter to the greater universe.
Agreed.
But this has ramifications that I hope to see in legacy and moving forward. This has been a perfect season for me. I cannot, as a TNG fan, I cannot ask for anything better. And I'm glad that they wrapped this up in a way that makes the movies not feel shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Hawk. I tweeted, I said it. It may be controversial. This is a perfect season of television.
100%.
And I'm gonna make the ice cream analogy. Imagine going to the ice cream shop and getting like 2 or 3 scoops of like the most perfect chocolate ice cream, and you get Jimmy's on it or sprinkles, depending on where you're from. I call them sprinkles, but people call them Jimmy's. You're weird.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. And some of those sprinkles fall off and a scoop falls off, and you're like, oh fuck, that sucks. Because there's definitely some that sucks moments during the season, and there's some mistakes, and there's some things that, some things that were not great. But that being said, the rest of those scoops on that ice cream cone are still that same perfect chocolate ice cream. And this was a perfect season of television. And I am so fucking thankful for it. Mm-hmm. Like, it is everything that I wanted from before I started this podcast, before we started this podcast, when we were covering Picard season 1 on Everything is Permitted. To come full circle and have this, holy shit. And that's where I'll leave it. Episode rating out of 10 Blazing Bev photon torpedoes. We will go in the reverse order. Eric, and YouTube chat, give us yours as well.
Despite my my reservations for small little things this episode, 10. Easy.
Nice. MC.
7.5.
Hawk.
10 exploding Borg cubes.
Nice. Nice. We went so fast. YouTube is not caught up. I will do mine and then get to theirs. I'm giving this episode, I gave last week's like a 15. I am going to give this finale a 9.5. I still liked last week's episode a lot better. This was a great series finale. It stuck the landing. It did everything I wanted it to do, but I was more emotionally compromised by last week's episode. Doesn't take away anything from this one. It was fantastic. That's still like a 20, like a 32? I can't math. I can't fucking math. It was great. It was fucking awesome. Over on YouTube, even 11 million. Sure. Edson Rowe Aaron, 100 million Blazing Bevs. Shatterhand, the episode was a 10 out of 10 easily. The season was an 8, mainly due to some issues spreading throughout. We are going to do a season rating. Tara, 9.25. Borg Zombies. Riker, Ricard Picardo, 7.5. Hand Holding Club with MC. Marty Williams, 10 Wharf threesomes. Yes. Wayner gives it a 10. We're gonna keep going as we do our final season.
Would 10 Wharf threesomes be 30?
That would be 30, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Something like that. Final season rating out of 10 zombie drones. We'll go back in the normal order. Hawk.
Overall, I still want to say 10, Any issues aside, really, they fall off compared to everything else we've gone through in the series as a whole. 10.
Yep. MC.
I'm gonna say 8.75.
Nice.
Like it was good, but room for improvement.
Yep.
Always.
I'm going to say 9.5, and purely because of the big changeling swap at near the end, and then just not talking about him, really.
Yeah. Over on YouTube, Carolyn 3 gives it a 9.75. Chris gives it a 60 because of redundant organs. Let's see. As a Roair, 9.5 zombie drones. I'm willing to overlook the issues. Marty Williams, 8.5 as a whole. Tara, 8.5. As a season, I give this a 9. Then MC spoke, and so remove 0.25. Sure. I'm going to give this
Chris just
season...
keeps being a copycat.
Yeah, copycat. I don't know. There's too many numbers on the screen. I don't do numbers. 10. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10.
Tens across the board.
Tens across the boards. And if I could give more, I would. Perfect season of television. I don't even know. Did Picard season 1 and 2 even happen? I don't know anymore.
No.
This was perfect. Oh boy. Subspace, Tub Hole, and Mailbag.
Comms, get me the dock master. Control tower reading, Commander.
And we asked our collective what they thought of the series finale of Star Trek Picard, and this is what they had to say. Who wants to take the poll? Our final Picard poll. Hawk,
I haven't
hit it.
done it in a while. So 76% of you said delightful. 24% of you said unforgettable. 0% of you said I have questions. And 0% said, just let the queen feed on me.
I like that there are zeros for that. By the way,
right?
We have someone very special beaming in. Where's my button? They'll be on screen in a few minutes, but the transporter did activate. And they are, they're on their way to the bridge. We're gonna go
in a few minutes, but the transporter did activate. And they are, they're on their way to the bridge.
What is happening?
You gotta. I think Tara's got to mute us.
Tara, mute us.
They're on their way to the bridge.
What is happening?
You gotta.
Mute your YouTube. Tara, mute us. There we go. Anyway, now that you know Tara's here, that'll be for a very specific reason in a few minutes. Hawk took the poll, so MC, can you take Captain Idle's mailbag, please?
Captain Idle wrote, as a conclusion, this episode was climactic and exciting, with big payoffs that fit the storyline and satisfy the arcs of the characters it inhibits. However, this whole season was a bit disjointed, having too much focus on the mystery and an enemy that wasn't revealed until the finale, almost 2-part mini-movie at the end. Another pass on the script would be nice, and given the epilogue a bit more time, would have been good. That being said, most of my complaints are nitpicks, and I'm not going to deny I enjoyed every minute of it. The fan service showcase it is and all. It is an excellent Star Trek series, and naturally I want more.
Indeed. Eric, could you take Chris's, please?
Chris wrote, so much of this episode was epic. Visually, especially. They gave us the ending we expected and left things open for future shows. I could not get enough of the D kicking serious ass inside that cube. So phenomenal.
Indeed. And then, is it my turn? It's me. Shatterhand. Shatterhand wrote a beautiful, heartwarming, and thrilling send-off at long last for the Enterprise D crew. I laughed, I gasped, I teared up. It was a thrill ride from start to finish. Season 3 of Picard far and away outshines the previous two. While it still had moments worthy of criticism, they boil down to nitpicks when all is said and done. Damn good Star Trek, and I'm confident we have much more to come. Back to you, Hawk. You take Simon's, please.
Sure. Simon wrote, great wrap up to things, even if the series as a whole felt touchy with pace in mind. Sounds like Counselor is going to be the new in-demand position on the ship, considering there are a bajillion under 25 crew persons with trauma now. Really happy to see Seven Jerry Ryan get to continue to grow the character beyond originally just a token catsuit role for ratings. Jerry Ryan really seemed to enjoy it, and her acting has finally gotten to take center stage. Can't wait to see if this really means a full series with her. I'm here for it.
Yes, indeed. MC Vancouver Girls, please.
Before I read that, I just want to reflect for a moment that we have the first female captain of an Enterprise.
Holy shit. No. Second.
Rachel Garrett.
Rachel Garrett.
The
Enterprise.
Oh,
Enterprise.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, first leading character.
Yeah.
Yes.
One who
Yeah.
didn't get killed immediately.
True. Fair.
But
Yep.
yes. Vancouver Girl wrote, I was lucky enough to have my first time watching Trek in theaters be the Picard IMAX screening. Jealous.
So
The
jealous.
experience is itself was surreal. I'm very happy with how they set up Seven's arc for a spinoff. There were so many cool moments in the finale. I'm devastated it's over now, but this is was the perfect send-off for the TNG cast.
Nice. Eric, Andy Kaufman's, please.
Andy Kaufman wrote, such a great finale. In a way, kind of predictable, but honestly, it just made sense. I love the idea of the Borg as a wounded animal, dangerous but quite vulnerable. It made sense that the 1701D could pull that off. And the character moments were really nice, from Seven hugging Sydney, that one got me choked up, to Data counseling session to the final poker game. I forgot about Data's counseling session.
Still batshit.
Great end to a really enjoyable season. 3 cheers for nostalgia, done perfectly. Please give us a Captain 7 series. Hashtag, you know what to do.
Star Trek Legacy. Haven wrote, last week's mailbag, I rated the show a 6. That was not fair. Listen, I
You
think
feel
it's
how you
fair.
feel.
That's what you thought about the last
Feel you
episode. That's
feel.
what you thought about the last episode. No one's saying differently. That was not fair, though. Like, I don't know why I repeated that. Should never rate a 2-parter without seeing both halves. That's not. That'll agree with you on. I still do it. That being said, I will be repeating what I wrote last week. This episode was the ultimate close to the TNG era. Today also was the successful test for the SpaceX Starship. And well, to use SpaceX as a reference, Picard season 3 stuck the landing better than any Falcon 9 landing.
Bam!
To stick that to your blue check mark. I raise a glass of Chateau Picard to the finest crew of the USS Enterprise G and her captain, 7 of 9, and first officer, Raffi. Cheers. Back to you, Hawk. Lanky guys, please.
Yeah, he wrote, I thoroughly enjoyed it. A bit predictable in places, but only in the best way. They resolved the plot threads and gave a fitting send-off to the TNG crew. Better yet, they planted the seeds for the next series with a new Enterprise and a bridge crew we already know and love. Looking forward to Star Trek Legacy, or whatever they decide to call it.
Nice. MCs with NYRLites, please.
When my Starlight wrote, it was fan service from beginning to end, and I'm all for it as a way to say goodbye to a crew that many of us grew up watching. Did they really have to cut out Seven's catchphrase just to tease us? Yes, apparently they did. But that ending sure makes it look like we're going to get the continuing adventures of the USS Enterprise under Captain 7 of 9.
Indeed. At least we hope. Eric Collins, please.
Colin D wrote, I have a nitpick or two as well. I wanted to see Data meet Soji. Imagine those emotions. I wanted a bookend with Laris. I have no objection to fan service. I live for the heart-tugging nostalgias, so most of the season thrilled the heck out of me. When I saw Seven hug a newly restored Sidney LaForge after seeing the F, all the feels. When I saw the D and heard Magel's voice again, all the feels. And Raffi at Seven's side, chef's kiss. I loved almost every moment. I can't wait to see what's to come. LLAP, live long and prosper.
Nice. Kara wrote, TNG was my first Trek as a little kid, watching with my mom, and I just felt so relieved that we have a happy ending. We fucking deserve it. I felt such great gratitude to be able to enjoy all this Trek, for all those people involved to make it for us. It was overwhelming. To see the crew after 35 years happy, fulfilled, evolving, it meant so much. And to all the haters of disco and the burn, that's a child's loss of a parent can have tragic galactic consequences, but are going to fanboy about this. Jack and Picard's stories are no different. A valid point. And finally, Hawk, can you take us home with Tara's, please?
Absolutely. Tara wrote, wish you all could have seen this in IMAX. It was beautiful. While I don't love that we return to the Borg, and someone will likely write a treatise about how well the patriarchy is glorified with Picard's super powerful sperm.
Borg sperm.
That sounds like a me thing to do.
I enjoyed almost every minute. I actually considered that they might kill off Picard, or will, but mostly knew they wouldn't. Missing scene, a fucking kiss between Jean-Luc and Bev. Speaking of
7 and Raffi.
Yeah.
And Seven or Raffi, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get that one. Speaking of Tara, computer, one to beam up.
Tara, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the
Hey.
show.
Hi, thank you.
I cannot think of a better possible way to close out our show tonight than with you reading your beautiful limerick that you came up with for the final episode of Picard. So please, if you could do the honor of reading your limerick.
Thanks. So sweet of you. Okay, I'm a little nervous. Try not to be too nervous. Okay. There is a tide in the affairs of men, though it now ebbs for our dear crew from next gen. The queen is truly vanquished. Data is amusedly anguished. And Seven is Enterprise's new captain. Amen. There's a second verse. Bev's now an admiral and Starfleet's head med. Wait, a Chekhov's Fed Prez? Prob deserved, but nepotism sure ain't dead.
I love that line.
Will and Deanna will seek Jamaharan forever. Worf's sorting may be fun, but it's a tiring endeavor. All good things must come to an end. So, Majel, shut the lights. It's time to put the D to bed. But wait, the trial never ends. So there's Q back from the dead.
Oh,
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
Oh
you.
my God. Love that. Thank
Badgie
you.
says thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on and doing that. I literally could not think of a better way to end this one than you would do that. And please stick with us as we close this one out, because I'm gonna turn this down a little bit, and I'm gonna say, please come here so I don't have to ruin my moment. Here we go.
Ah.
Cheers to this absolutely wonderful season of Star Trek Picard. Cheers to Terry Matalas and the entire production team, the writing team, everyone involved, the cast of both seasons 1 and 2 of Picard, seasons 3 of Picard. Don't know what I'm gonna do without this crew. For Eric, for Hawk, for MC, for Tara, I'm Julian. Live long and prosper. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.